Welcome to a special edition of Golden Speakers / Speakers Trust. Tonight, Monday night, we are having a Speakers Trust meeting, but we have a very special speaker from Golden Speakers, Seth Braun, who is doing his final assignment for his Advanced Communicator Gold Award, which leaves one award to get, which would be his Distinguished Toastmaster. As part of this, he has to do a module from Toastmasters International, and he has chosen to do from speaker to trainer. And he has had extensive experience as a speaker, and he's also been trained by one of the world's best speaker trainers. So he's going to give you a lot of information that Toastmasters International doesn't even have. So please warmly welcome Seth Braun.
Fellow Toastmasters, other viewers, Toastmasters, and non-Toastmasters. Now, Tom, thank you for that excellent introduction. I do have a cold, so I'm going to be sucking on cough drops. It's not to be rude or disrespectful to you, so this will actually help me to make it through this presentation. Tonight you're going to learn 3 incredibly valuable techniques, tools, and ways of thinking to improve your experience as a speaker and trainer. The first level of lessons is going to be on Toastmasters. One of the takeaways tonight for you is you're going to learn a little bit about what I've done to get to Advanced Communicator Gold in Toastmasters International. More specifically tonight, you're going to be learning about how to be a better trainer. But within that, the topic that you're going to learn as an example of training is going to be how to be pithy. Ha! Based on the training I did, called Powerfully Pithy, with Patricia Fripp. I'd like you to find someone that you don't know as well as maybe your buddy or someone you came with or a Toastmaster that you've connected with. And I'd like you to get together with them and share what you'd like to get out of this evening's workshop. It may be that you're clear, I came here because I just wanted to hear what Seth is up to, or maybe you heard, I'm going to learn what Patricia Fripp taught. Or maybe you're just here because you're a member of the Advanced Club, and you're coming here to develop your advanced speaking skills. So find someone that you don't know as well, and share with them for 2 minutes what brought you here. You have 1 minute each. The person with shorter hair can go first.
Go ahead, you got to share. You're going to go first.
I already know you. I got to go learn
Okay, so what brought you here? I heard him talk about it, but he did give us a short synopsis last year. This is a new these guys, they're $300 to $500.
First with shorter hair, still first.
If you want to 2 days with her, $5,000.
It's like every time, generally in special meeting when he spoke for about
So go ahead and switch if you haven't
I
switched.
took something from him.
And if you have switched, you can talk amongst yourselves.
Talk.
Are you
seeing the value? Watch your DVD.
Yeah, and another speech I remember. What was that speech that we talked about variation of voice?
Yeah, give away your
I was really I had
those were 2
evenings
where speech were fabulous. One was mastering cars and the second one authentic. Every time. I don't what the last one is. PI Toastmasters International. The second one is training in person. That's what it looks like. I can read there. What is that? Seth, what is the last word?
Pithy, meaning concise.
Okay.
Okay, what were some of your partner's wishes and intentions for this meeting? Your partner, what did you hear your partner say?
Get all the news from Patricia Fripp.
Okay. Download the Fripp. By the way, Patricia Fripp has a brother. Anybody happen to know who her brother is?
Robert?
Robert Fripp.
Really?
Yeah, the guitarist from Blue Oyster Cult.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a memory.
Yeah. What else?
Learn from Seth.
Learn from Seth. What else?
Learn how to train.
To avoid living client to client and start taking more seminars.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Similar to seminar?
This is a great point. This is a leap for anybody who has any kind of consulting, coaching, healing, service work to go from I work with individuals to I work with groups. Okay, well this is a great list. A couple other things that you're going to get are going to be specifically around your use of language and how you can record your talks, transcribe your talks, edit your talks for more power. How many of you really would like to get some value out of this evening's workshop? Okay, go ahead and stand up if you were thinking, yes, I'd like to get some value.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things that you can do to get more value. The first thing is make sure that the first two rows and then the third row are filled. Ha! If you want to be up close, here's where the mojo is. The second piece is to just engage the body for a moment. And we're going to do that by finding some space around you and just doing a spinal twist. Maybe you've been sitting behind a desk today, maybe you've been driving. This just allows you to get present in the space. Good, and then we're just going to stretch up. Take a deep breath and breathe out. And then whatever way is comfortable, just let the head hang down. Whatever is right for you. Maybe stretch your hamstrings a little bit. And then let the tailbone curl under and stack the spine as you curl up. And then a little more spinal twist. See if you can allow your breath to deepen. And before you have a seat, make two fists and just on the butt. Wake the butt up, make sure that you stay awake when you sit down. And as you sit down, keep your spine straight, take some deep breaths, and stay present. So training involves some essential steps. The first one is make it clear immediately the takeaway. The first thing people need to hear is what they're going to get out of the training. And what did you hear that you're going to get from this training?
How to be pithy.
Pithy. What else?
About TI, about Seth.
My story and what you can learn about progressing in Toastmasters through advanced training. And there's one other piece.
How to be more successful?
As what?
Trainer.
That's right. Tom and Cindy know a lot about that.
One trainer.
The most important beginning of any training is clear value. If you can demonstrate that value immediately, even better. It's easy to do a training on training because I can just demonstrate the value by having clear takeaways right away. The second step in any good training is to make sure that the audience gets engaged within the first 10% of the time that you're given. How did I engage you at the beginning?
Ask questions, got us
Give
up,
exercises.
got us moving.
Questions? Dyad? Pair off?
Yep.
So we're going to save physical movement for number 3. You are responsible for the state of your audience. You're going to be responsible for the receptivity of your audience, not them. If you want your audience to have a good experience, you put them in a state where they're going to be prepared to learn and be engaged. What did I do to make sure that you were in a resourceful state? I did 3 things.
Yes.
You moved us to the first 2 rows.
Moved you. I decided where you were going to sit.
Ha!
Right.
Do you want to sit in the first 2 rows?
Mm-hmm.
Jyoti?
Okay.
You could do that. Anytime it's your gig, you can close off seats. You can decide where people sit. What was the second thing I did?
Movement.
I had you move again. That's right. A different kind of moving. Moved your body to get present in your body just a little bit. And there was a third step that I took to make sure that we were ready to have a great experience.
Spoke of intentions.
Yes, we spoke of intentions, and I asked you, who here wants to get value from this training? So I just put that, I put that in the mind. So that was the context for us being together. It was like, okay, here we are. We're starting the bar high. So we could say intent and question. But yes, that ties back into what we did up here. Using this engagement to get the state change as well. This is 50% of a great training. 3 things. 50% of a great training is doing 3 things. In preparing for this evening, I went back and watched a DVD recording of a talk I gave on January 26th, 2008. January 26, 2008. I had not joined Toastmasters yet. I was still living in Boulder, Colorado. Would you please put this up for me anywhere on one of the walls? And I'll probably be asking you to do that throughout the evening. Is that okay?
That's fine.
I wanted to see how my speaking was before Toastmasters. Because as we've talked about, I thought I was a pretty good speaker.
Ha!
And I applied some of the tips that I got from Patricia Fripp in her workshop to the first 4 sentences of my introduction to my talk. The first 4 sentences that I spoke at this talk. I'm going to share that with you. It was a talk I did at the clinic that I worked at. It was a clinic and yoga studio. It was a talk to fill my practice. I'd recently become certified as a metabolic typing advisor, in addition to being a graduate of the Institute for Integrated Nutrition and a certified health coach. Metabolic typing was a clinical approach to nutrition that I added to my practice, and I was giving a talk, and I invited some fairly high-profile individuals. This was a talk to really establish my practice within a community of people that would really spread. Now you're going to begin getting the value of number 2. Number 3, how to be pithy. Here is the original first 4 lines. So, my intention tonight is to really give you a full download of a philosophy of health and nutrition that could be helpful, and to inspire you to walk out of here feeling light, feeling good, feeling resourceful, and with a few nuggets that you can use. Pretty good. Clear outcome. This is where we're going, this is what you're going to get. So then I applied some of the principles of Powerfully Pithy. Tonight, you will learn a philosophy of health that will give you greater freedom for living. You will learn the leading edge science. You'll gain greater understanding of the secrets of celebrity and executive health coaches, what they use to get results for their high-end clients, and you'll leave here tonight feeling more free, empowered, and educated to create a higher level of health and well-being. A little more uplifting, a little more powerful.
Yeah, much more.
Now, here is the final Powerfully Pithy version after a 3rd edit. In the next 45 minutes, you will learn a philosophy of health for greater freedom and expression. You'll learn leading-edge nutrition science, evidence-based insight, and pioneering research in genetic function in a simple, easy-to-use set of tools. You're in luck because you'll also get access to the well-kept secrets that celebrity health coaches use to get results. Expect to leave here surprised, enlightened, and equipped to have more health and well-being than ever before.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, really?
So let's look at what you can do to improve the structure of just your introduction. Because that introduction will set you up for a much higher level experience with your audience. The body can remain approximately the same, but if you adapt your introduction, it's going to set everything higher. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Understand that Patricia Fripp gets $5,000 a day. She gets $5,000 a day to coach executives on how to make presentations. She was the first woman to be president of the National Speakers Association. She went from running a hair salon to becoming a professional speaker. She did so by creating a signature presence. When she walks on stage, she speaks slowly, deliberately, and concise. And after attending her training, I could see how an individual could write a $5,000 speech. I could see what it really takes for someone who's not a celebrity, someone who's not famous, to walk in and deliver communication that is worth $5,000 for an hour. It's becoming a craftsman of your words. We'll take a look at what I mean. In the first example, I said, so my intention tonight is to really give you... What's wrong with that? So my intention tonight is to really give you...
It's not succinct. It's
What's not succinct?
Redundant.
What's redundant? What specifically about that does not work?
It's about you. It's not about us.
I
Right.
start out by saying my intention. That's right. And then the final version, I say, you will learn. Who can take notes here? Because if you can take notes, you want to be taking notes on this.
Oh, yeah.
In your introduction, when you begin your speech, there are two ways you can begin. I am going to teach you this, or you are going to learn this. Which one's more powerful?
Second.
You belong. You. It's always a you statement.
That right there is worth an extra $500 every speech you give. We'll put some dollar amounts on this.
Yes.
We're looking for $5,000 tonight.
Yes.
Number 2.
Repeat point 1.
Point 1 is there are two ways to introduce. In the first introduction I said, so my intention tonight is to really give you a full download of the philosophy of health and nutrition. In the second, I said, you will learn a philosophy. I or you. I'm going to teach you, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to give you, I'm going to share with you, I'm going to relate to you, I'm gonna, or you are. You'll learn, you'll receive, you'll get, you'll understand, you'll transform. The next one blew my mind. Blew my mind out of the water because I still have a habit of speaking this way. Now, granted, you have to understand that this is applicable within the context of knowing some basic structures of how to put a speech together, how to do beginning, middle, end, how to make eye contact, how to use body language, how to use the stage. When you have this foundation, you can start etching into your text and beginning to use words that convey more power per unit. If you look at your speech is designed to have a certain flow to it so it punches at some point and you bring it to a teachable moment or an aha or something happens in your speech. Yes?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Every sentence of your speech can have a miniature expression of that same pow, pow, pow. So that as you're building it, you're building a rhythm of aha, of insight, and of power. Every sentence can punch. So the second point blew my mind. You remember how the first thing I said? So my intention tonight. There's one word in there, and not the obvious filler word. There's one word in there that I would like you to burn into your mind.
Tonight?
Tonight.
Yeah.
It fits into the category of today.
Now.
Now. Vague. Unspecified. Today you're going to learn. Now you're going to learn. Tonight you're going to learn. When? When I'm falling asleep? When tonight?
Right here, right now.
In the next 45 minutes.
Ah.
In the next 45 minutes, you will learn. You will gain an understanding. You will develop. In the next 45 minutes, you will develop an understanding of health and nutrition that will allow you to act and engage the world with more energy and effectiveness. Much more engaging, yes?
Yes.
How many of you know you like to use one of these? I do it all the time still. They just pop up. Okay, third point. In the original introduction, the first 4 sentences, I said, a philosophy that could be helpful and to inspire you to walk out of here feeling light, feeling good, feeling resourceful, and with a few nuggets you could use. When you are introducing your speech, do not be afraid to hit it.
Good.
Kill them right away. Winston Churchill said when making oratory that you are to hammer home the point, hammer it home again, and then hammer it home again. And when you're speaking, you better tell me that it's going to be amazing. Or else, why are we together? Why are we together to listen to you if you're not going to give me something that's going to alter my experience in a meaningful way? And articulate that. Do not hesitate to make your words sing in those first 4 sentences. In the next 45 minutes, you're going to learn the secrets that celebrity trainers and health coaches use to get results from high-end clients. Rather than you're going to learn a philosophy that could be helpful. How many of you are familiar with Chinese medicine? Chinese medicine? This is similar in Ayurvedic medicine, but it's very pronounced in Chinese medicine. The language they use in the formulas and the treatments in Chinese medicine almost heal you just from the poetry of the treatment. Let me give you an example. If you have a headache in Western medicine, they say take some aspirin. And in Chinese medicine, you might take something called the Great Remover of Obstacles in the Jade Forest. Right? Or if you're feeling angry all the time and you have indigestion, you take you have indigestion, Prilosec, right? Take a Prilosec. That sounds great. Prilosec, yummy. In Chinese medicine, they'll say, take the Free and Easy Wanderer for a reduction of wind heat. Oh, okay, that sounds good. It's the poetic nature of language used to describe a process of healing that just, I think, yeah, all right, I could be down with that. I'd like to be free and easy. Let's go. Rather than taking a Prilosec. So powerful promise right up front. Let's review the 3 basics just from the introduction that we have. When you start your talk, how are you going to begin?
With a you statement.
What's in it for them?
What's in it for them, and you're going to use the pronoun you. Number 2.
Right now. In the next 43 1/4 minutes.
Exactly. You're going to use specificity of time. Now, if you have 20 minutes, but you tell them 15 and you take 20, or if you tell your audience 30 and you take 40, it doesn't work. If you tell your audience in the next 45 minutes, you better do it in the next 45 minutes. Or else you're going to end up, some old ladies in the audience going like this. Time! Time! Right? Have you heard of that ever happening before?
I was doing probably
Number 3. Powerful promise. Find a way to articulate to your audience the same material in a way that's going to engage them. Make them sit up a little straighter and say, yes, I want to learn that. How you frame the value they're going to get at the beginning will determine how they're engaged and how they're thinking about what you're going to say. If I tell you you're going to get $5,000 worth of value from an executive speaking coach, you're going to think, hey, I'm going to pay attention here. And all of a sudden, what you're going to have for dinner tomorrow drops away. The problems of 15 minutes ago kind of recede, and you get more present. Wow, I'm going to learn what this person teaches executives for $5,000 a day. By the way, Patricia Fripp now teaches executives from her home. She doesn't even fly to them anymore. She's built a video conferencing setup that allows her to work intimately with her clients. She may give them a discount and work for them for $2,500 because she doesn't want to get on a plane and spend 3 days traveling. Sometimes that's what it takes. So think about it, 3 hours in her home on a video conferencing, $2,500 to work with the principles that we're working with now. Okay, so we're right in the middle. This is the meat. This is the center of your training this evening. Have you gotten some things that are valuable?
Yes.
I'd like you to find your partner, and I'd like you to sit down together somewhere, each on your own, and you're going to get 5 minutes to write an introduction to a hypothetical speech. Maybe a speech that you're getting ready to give. Maybe it's a speech you've already given, or a speech you give repeatedly in your profession. And I would like you to write an introduction that uses these 3 insights, and then you're going to share with your partner after 5 minutes and get feedback and see if you can do another edit and tighten it up. So go ahead and find some place in the room.
Yeah, I want something that says specific thing about my so that I should listen. I should put my trust there.
Jeff, are you going to use these principles in your introductions?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Because there's some hesitation. Are you good? Do you think these could be helpful?
Yeah, certainly.
Okay. Jyoti, do you think these could be helpful in the introduction of your speech?
Yeah, very much. I learned.
Good. Okay. Let's everybody stand up. Shake it out a little bit. So we're halfway through now. So stay fresh. Ready to learn. There you go. Take some deep breaths. Do some side bends. Fists. This time just kind of pat on the inside of your arm. Down, up the inside of the arm, and down on the outside of the arm. Go all the way up, gently up the shoulder to the occipital ridge, then back down. On the other side, up outside of the arm, up the neck, gently down. Kind of on the back, the butt, above the kidneys. On the chest a little bit. On the stomach a little bit. And just kind of rub your back. Okay, have a seat. If you take nothing else, I want you to take these 3 points for introducing your speech. I'm going to now cover a lot of content. This is going to be more of a helicopter pass over terrain, where you're going to get to see and begin to familiarize yourself with the terrain. Don't expect to have the whole map tonight of what I'm going to share with you. You can take this and apply it. Circle your page, put exclamation points, smiley faces, stars, and write down on your paper, do this in your next speech, and write your name. Do this in your next speech, Satish. Give yourself a little message that you want to learn this. Give yourself a little programming in your mind right now. Write it down on your paper. Okay, well, use this in your next speech.
I will.
Implant that thought so that the next time you write, you think, oh yeah, I'm going to use that in my next, I'm using that this time. You heard about punching each sentence. I'm going to give you some examples here of how to make your sentences pop, how to make your words crisp, how to make each sentence worth more. Your first example is called setup and impact phrases. To celebrate your accomplishments in 2011 becomes to celebrate your 2011 accomplishments. When you give a speech, the first minute is going to be what people remember, and the last minute. It's the law of primacy and recency in the way we think. Every teacher knows this. What they say at the beginning of class and the end of class, students will remember. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. Primacy and recency. Every sentence is an opportunity to use primacy and recency. Every sentence is like a mini speech. When you hear to celebrate your accomplishments in 2011, the last thing you heard is
2011.
Okay, I remember that. 2011, great. To celebrate your 2011 accomplishments. Right? What's the last word you hear?
Accomplishments.
And how do you feel about that?
Good.
Oh yeah, okay, a little more sitting up straight. Powerfully pithy will be our focus for the next 2 days. 2 days, great. We're going to be here together for 2 days. How can we make that punch?
For the next 2 days, you will be powerfully pithy.
For the next 2 days, our focus will be on powerfully pithy. This is something we all do. I have some ideas to improve your experience as well.
As well.
As well.
As well, good.
You did well, and I have some comments to improve your experience. So each sentence can be analyzed to make sure that the most important word comes at the end, that you punch the sentence. Remember, we're taking a helicopter trip over some terrain. You don't need to implement all these right away. It's giving you a hint on where you're going as you progress. If you're giving a speech on subjective matter, values, principles, interior experiences, which a lot of us are into and are going to speak about, Patricia Fripp would stop. Now remember, this training I did, she's with 5 world champion of public speakers. So it's Patricia Fripp and 5 Toastmasters world champions giving the training. She's their coach.
Wow.
Right?
Their personal coach.
She's their personal coach. And they will be on stage speaking, sharing stories, training. They will get stopped in the middle of a sentence by Patricia, saying, "Hold on a minute. I've heard you use a word, Ed." And then he would go, "Oh." And it would sound something like this. In speaking of principles, do your actions align with them? And she'd stop him. She'd say, "What's them? What do you mean by them?" Half an hour later, Craig would be speaking. "These are the things that we should be focused on." "Oh, Craig, what are things?" Any kind of vague or ambiguous words. Things, them, those. She often quoted comedians, performers. She quoted Jerry Seinfeld as saying he will spend hours taking 8 words and whittling them down to 5. So that when the joke gets delivered, it's pop, 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 pop. Performers know that being concise and hitting it. Jesus, as a magician, speed and accuracy and being concise in your trick is essential, correct?
Correct.
Let's look at a couple examples of vague use of language and how they can be improved. On the honeymoon, he promised her many things. What things?
Things.
He promised her romance, love, adventure.
Did he really?
There is a lot of stuff that we need to cover in this meeting today.
Stuff.
What kind of stuff?
Specific stuff.
It's as simple as leading a meeting with your team. If you're the president and you have a business meeting, and it's not even a speech, but you say, we have a lot of stuff to cover. Or tonight we're going to cover special meeting, new officers, and protocol for how we actually run the meetings. Stuff, things, them, those, it, pronouns, unspecified pronouns. Tell better stories. Use better examples. Think chronologically, shorter sentences and phrases, and create visual scenes.
Visual what?
Scene. In other words, use all the senses to describe a scene in a story. Now, I've studied this with some of the Toastmasters World Champs because they studied it with Patricia. And I've used this. Give you an example. My grandfather immigrated to the United States 30 days on a ship with saltwater spray. Cold rations, long nights, back and forth. But when he arrived, he saw her standing on Ellis Island. So there's visual, there's smell, there's kinesthetic. So when you tell a story, you want to paint a picture visually. Here's the example she gave. This was from an executive's keynote. My wife came in for the weekend at our conference, and we went to see David Copperfield after last year's sales meeting, and he made her disappear. That was going to be one of his funny stories. She said, this is an important point to connect. You want to be more approachable as an executive. This is a story about your wife, and it's got to be engaging and funny. My wife Tammy came in for the weekend. What did she do right away?
The name of the person?
Use the name. We went to see David Copperfield. 3/4 of the way through the show, he threw several balls into the audience, and Tammy caught one. He said, "If you touch the ball, please come on stage." He set all 20 of the ball catchers on bleachers and covered them with a tarp. Whoosh, 5 seconds later, they all disappeared. Gone! Suddenly, they appeared at the back of the room. On the way out, I asked Tammy, how did he do it? She said, we were sworn to secrecy, however, we had to move really fast. Much more engaging story, funny. So thinking in picture words, sensory words.
Specific details again.
Yes?
Do you engage all the senses?
You engage all the senses, unless you are specifically trying to create an experience of one sense. World champion speakers and Toastmasters are all, I wanted to share this with you. The last 10 years of World Championship speakers are now available on YouTube. They weren't up until recently. So if you want to see the winning World Championship speeches, you can get on YouTube and see them right now. And you'll see that the majority of them follow these principles. And they tell stories that describe kinesthetic, auditory, visual, smell. I think the best example of this is Randy Harvey,
Yes.
which you had mentioned to Stephen.
Yes.
Randy Harvey won in, I think, 2005. And what is it? He whittled down, he gave the speech 1,000 times?
5,000.
No.
And he whittled it down
Wow.
to every unnecessary word being removed. And I have a transcript of his speech that I was able to obtain. And you can see that he's telling he's not even using sentences anymore. He says, driving in my VW Bug, cruising, Simon and Garfunkel, Cecilia, you're breaking my heart, horsefly flies into my nose. See, these are not even sentences. He's just describing a story that pulls you in. In 10 seconds, you're there with him. In his car, rocking out to Cecilia, and you just experienced the horsefly. Removing every unnecessary word. That was our data dump. That was our fire hose moment. That was me just kind of sharing a bunch of information. You get to take this home. And you get to take this and put this into your speeches. You get to put it into your evaluations. And you get to raise the level of effectiveness of the entire Golden Speakers. If you want to experience more of this kind of speaking and training, come to our advanced meetings on Monday. We need a couple members to really pop. Show of hands, how many of you will commit to using this sometime in the next month in one of your speeches? Excellent. And even better, how many of you think you could tell somebody else about this and teach them? Because when we teach it, we learn it. Excellent. 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 So we're looking today at the kind of meta filter of the development through Toastmasters through a project on teaching you training skills by teaching you about being powerfully pithy. So I want to debrief with you a continuum. Speakers are not the same as trainers. Trainers are not the same as facilitators, but they are on a continuum. That continuum has to do with the amount of time the speaker is speaking or the amount of time that the audience is speaking. A facilitator will spend 20% of the time speaking and letting the audience or the group he's facilitating for have 80% of the interaction, the learning, the speaking. A good facilitator will not teach. A good facilitator comes in like a clinician, curious and open to help solve the problem of the group by creating opportunities for them to have their own aha moments and to come up with their own insights. A trainer is about 50-50. And a speaker is closer to this. In our experience, we've had some teaching, and then some experience, some teaching, and some experience. It's gone back and forth because this is a training. When you're speaking, you'll use the powerfully pithy. And you'll use that a little bit in training and a little bit in facilitating, to begin and to end. But great trainers are not necessarily powerfully pithy. Many of them mumble and stumble over their words. It's okay. And many facilitators are not great communicators. It's okay. The keynote speaker, the person who gets paid $5,000 to get up and create verbal kung fu, auditory masterpiece, is where you use the powerfully pithy. Tonight, you learned 3 principles that you could use to develop your speaking.
Tonight, now.
Specificity of time.
Specificity of time.
Promise, power promise.
Who would like to give us an example? Who would like to share what they came up with, their introduction? Jesus. Let's give him a hand. It's Jesus. Come on up. And really go for it. I mean, hit it.
All right.
Kill it.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, you are going to forget what are your plans for tonight. The next hour will be full with laughter, smile, and good time. And for that, I'm going to need your participation. Are you with me?
Yes.
Are you with me?
Yes!
Let's begin.
Yay!
Great!
So before you go, how many of you could see Jesus' speeches having more power and effectiveness if this was the general tone of his introductions moving forward?
Yeah.
Yo.
Uh-huh.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we're getting to that point in our time together where we're going to wrap up. Before we wrap up, let's review what you've learned about offering a training. We covered 3 points that you want to begin the training with. Do you remember what those are? Third takeaway.
Dyad demo.
Yeah.
Decide where you want the audience. Wake them up.
What state do you want to create it in?
To put it succinctly, there are three things you want to do. Be clear on what the outcome is for the audience. What's in it for me? What's the takeaway? Within the first 2 minutes, first minute better. In the next 3 hours, you're going to learn. Boom. In the next 10 minutes, you're going to get. This is if you're doing a training. This might not be how you start a speech. Distinction between those two. We're looking at the trainer and the facilitator. Engaging the audience. Questions, dyads. Make sure they get to talk. If you're doing a training, within the first 5% of the time that you're allotted, make sure they're going to talk to one another. I don't care what you're going to train them in. They're going to think it's great if within the first 5% of your time, you let them talk. So why did you come out tonight? What would you like to get out of this experience? What do you hope to learn? What problem do you want to solve? What are you suffering with? What is your biggest challenge when it comes to baking cookies? Whatever your training topic may be.
Here I have a little confusion. So, that you said you should be specific in introduction. The same way I introduce in training and while speaking, or there is some distinction
different.
between this?
They're different.
Yeah. So what's the actual?
This is powerfully pithy for a training.
That I understood.
This is how to be powerfully pithy and apply it to when you're training. If you're speaking and what you're going to do is storytelling, you don't say this. Or if you are doing an inspiring speech, you may start with a story and then say this. Most of the time, you're going to have something close to this. In training, you're absolutely going to have it.
So here it comes like when the last speech, when Rhonda speak like sees this like a training like speech about healing and all these. Where do you put that and how do you differentiate that with the speech like how she spoke about healings and all that?
That is a great question. I'm not going to get into that because I want to review the takeaways and the outcomes for you. So Jyoti, if you're going to teach or train anyone, you start your speech with three things. You, specific amount of time, and a powerful promise. You got that?
Yeah.
Everyone got that?
Yep.
If you're going to teach or train, you do three things. You, specific amount of time, powerful promise. When you're training, there are three things that you do to make the training great. You provide a clear takeaway. It's your powerful promise. You get them to, let's be clear, this is the introduction we're talking about. You take those 3 points and you can put them in right here in number 1. That's your introduction. The second piece is you let them talk to each other. You could do it in dyads, which is paired shares, or 2 people. You could do it in groups of 4. You could do it in groups of 5. Paired shares work the best because it's simple. And if you want to make it move very smoothly, you tell them how you want it to go. The person with shorter hair goes first. Otherwise, they'll go, well, do you want to go? You can go. No, you can go. And you only have so much time. You just tell them. You have 2 minutes. The person with short hair goes first. Begin. And the third piece, when you're training to set it up for success, is you decide on the state. You put the audience where you want them. You can ask them to stand up, move their bodies. You can ask them questions. You can have them do what Jesus did, which is, are you ready? Yes. Are you ready? Yes. You can get them pumped up. You can play great music. You can have people at the door. You can have friends or hire people or get volunteers. Have them at the door, welcoming them, making sure everybody feels connected and happy to be there. You determine the receptivity of your audience. Those are the 3 points that if you begin that way, you're 50% done. So you've learned about being powerfully pithy, a practice that we could all take home, and you've learned the first 50% of doing a great training. These are both. The macro takeaway here is if you start strong, you're halfway there. Well begun is half done. Make sure your introduction is strong, and if you're training, make sure you've got the clear what?
Takeaway.
Clear takeaways, and then you have what?
Time.
Specific time, that's part of a clear introduction. Yes, great, that's excellent. Engage the audience. So I'm training, I'm going to let you talk or have an experience. And the third one is, you put them into the state. You define how they're going to experience it. When you end a training, you do what we've been doing. You debrief. And you hit it again and again and again. How many times have we gone over this information now?
5.
4 or 5 times. Yeah.
4 or 5 times. Why?
So we remember it.
So you freaking remember it! In an hour, hour and a half, hour and 10 minutes, hour and 15-minute time together, couple things. Your audience will get a couple things, 3 at the most. You can chunk it, you can get creative, you can use learning tricks to chunk information. But there are 2 things that you're getting that I'm going to make sure that I've done my best so you can leave home with. How to be powerfully pithy in your introduction, and the basic outline of a training, beginning and end. I'm giving you the end now, by demonstrating it to you. And that's debrief. Debrief is what you learned and your actions. So you spend about 20% of your time setting it up. You deliver some content. There's a lot of engagement. The audience does things. You teach for a little bit. The audience does some more. And you get 20% of your time is debriefing. Where most people fall is they don't take time to debrief. Oh, time to wrap up. Thanks everybody for coming. Good to have you here at our sales meeting today. Oh, time to wrap up. I hope you got a lot about this healing method. Sign up for my newsletter. No, you take scheduled time in your training to just beat the heck out of the takeaways. When I was working for SkillPath, they would teach 50 points. You were expected to teach 50 major concepts in one day. They didn't care if people learned it. They wanted them to leave the training without the thought in their head that I didn't get what I came for. It was like the buffet mentality of training. I hope to get a lot out of this. But they actually don't leave with anything they're going to take action on. I am not into that. I'm into training in a way where you're going to leave here with 1 or 2 things that you're going to take action on that are going to take you up a bump. Because it's those little bumps that you keep building on that are going to take you to the next level. But if you get 50 things and you leave and you're trying to do them all, you won't do what? Any of them.
It's too much.
So when you end, you just hammer home, what did you learn? And then where did I put this in? You remember? Actions.
That was with us writing down what we're going to do. I will do this. I'll use this in the next speech.
I got a verbal agreement. Will you use this in the next month? Powerfully pithy introduction. And it was a unanimous yes. And then I said,
You did someone else.
will you teach someone else?
Mm-hmm.
I think most everyone said yes. So we covered a lot of learning, and we had definite actions that you're going to take to make sure that you put this into practice and it becomes part of who you are by using it and teaching it. So final recap. We've covered a lot of material today. Fundamentally, we've covered being powerfully pithy and how to do great training. Let's review what are the principles to be powerfully pithy that you've learned. Number one, you. Use the word you rather than the word I. Number two,
Overpromise.
powerful promise. Number three,
Be specific.
specific in time. We're all going to be able to go away from here and use this. The second piece you learned today was a great training. A great training requires that you have your introduction. It's powerful and clear, takeaway with the time that we've talked about. The second piece is engage the audience with questions and interaction. And the third, put them in a great state. And then you end, you have a nice tasty center, some good content, and you end with hash out, hammer home. What did you learn? What did you learn? How are you going to use it? How are you going to act on it? Put it in the context of a story. Review it again. Clarify. Did anyone not learn it? Ha! Spend enough time, really get it thorough. Make sure everyone in the room has coherence on the concept. Take responsibility. And you can see if someone didn't get it. Because they're going to be like this. You're going to ask, so, who's going to take action on this? Everybody's raising their hand. There's this other person that's like this. And you stop. Say, let's review. Because in the training, you're responsible for everybody walking out of here getting the content. Now, it's easy in a group like this because you want to get it. Sometimes you have to train people who don't want to get it, and they're not going to get it. Finally, tonight, you've learned a little bit about progressing in Toastmasters. The head fake, the secret behind-the-scenes education is you've learned a little bit about our advanced club. You've come to an advanced meeting.
Yo! Hey!
This is the biggest advanced club meeting we have ever had here in Fairfield. So give yourselves a hand. Raise your hand if you're a member of the advanced club. So we got the trainers, Stephanie, Scott, and I am a member. Who here might be interested at some point in joining the advanced club? Okay, raise your hands high. Okay, great.
How much does it cost?
Less than the other club.
It's,
We'll talk about that at the end of the
it's
meeting.
not very much.
I'm promising to put a close on this and wrap up. This whole process has been the final requirement for Advanced Communicator Gold. Advanced Communicator Gold comes on the foundation of the Competent Communicator. Everyone familiar with Competent Communicator? Advanced Communicator Bronze, which you get by completing 2 advanced manuals.
5 each.
5 speeches each. Great manuals, speaking to inform, entertaining speaking, storytelling, professional speaking. Advanced Communicator Silver. 2 advanced manuals and
couple of modules.
modules, but different than the module in
Yeah,
the gold. There's a set of unique modules for the silver and a set of unique modules for the gold. The gold is the same. 2 advanced manuals and a module from the gold series.
And you had to mentor at least three times.
I had to mentor, and I've mentored quite a few people. I think, Satish, you were the person that I'm mentioning in my application. Any questions about that process? pretty clear.
Did you need to finish the competent leader?
No, I did not need to finish a competent leader to become advanced communicator gold.
That's right. The
It's a separate
DTM
track.
requires the leadership. So to be a DTM, he has to do the advanced leader bronze, and the advanced leader silver. There is no advanced leader gold. DTM is the final leadership track, and those are different.
So I've done those as well. And now I'm up to, I think I'm finishing silver because I need to be an officer
Of the district?
of the district or area.
Yep.
Do you have another question?
What was the biggest obstacle that you ran into on your path to reach gold, and what was the technique that you used to, or action you used to?
Well, I started out very fierce. I was going for it, just rolling, engaged, and then I started getting paid to speak and running my own business. I just got completely out of touch with what was I doing, where was I. I didn't know what I needed to do, and Tom and I actually met a couple months ago, fairly recently. For me, I'd say, okay, I don't even know where I am anymore in my progress. Let's sit down and get clear about where I'm going. So just being busy. This is the same, I think, that anyone might say.
Sure.
I'll say this other piece, though. Toastmasters International is not up to speed on technology. So an obstacle is you have to order physical manuals for a lot of things. It's like, I download everything. You know, I should be able to get the manual on my phone and be able to do you know, it's like, hello, it's charge me $5 to download it instead of paying $40 to get a hard copy. You know, this is like, hello, Toastmasters International, wake up here.
No, hello, Seth, we're getting $40.
They have made some progress. About half of their stuff is up.
It's time for us to wrap up with a powerful close. How many of you use communication in your professional life or feel that communication in your personal life is important? Make a commitment to yourself to use one or two principles from our training this evening. Make a commitment to yourself right now. Have a good talk with yourself. So, you use these principles, put them into play. And I guarantee that the club, our main club, and the people around you will comment and will change the experience that you have of how your communication affects others. Thank you very much.
Yay!